Okay, so we have made it to the very last video for Chapter 15, Yahoo! And in it we're going to discuss a little bit about how we get blood all the way back to the heart, even when blood pressure is relatively low, 16 millimeters mercury on the venous side of the capillary networks, all the way to 2 millimeters mercury by the time you get to back to the heart itself. So let's take a look at that. As we said, venous blood pressure is very low on the venous side of those capillary networks, 16 to 18 millimeters mercury at the capillary network, and by the time we get to the right atrium, as the blood is returning from the systemic circuit, blood pressure is only about 2 millimeters mercury. Now, if you're lying down, that's a sufficient pressure differential, 16 to 18 back to 2 millimeters mercury. But if you're standing up, that's not enough blood pressure to get blood back to the heart. So how do we do it? Well, we got two ways. First is, and I have in your notes package a good graphic to help show this, skeletal muscles on either sides of the veins. As those skeletal muscles move and contract, they compress the vein, and that pushes blood from one section in between, one set of valves up toward the heart into the next section of blood. And even if you're standing, gravity is not going to be able to pull blood from the new section that the blood is moved to because of the one-way valves that are found in those veins. And so that ensures that the blood is always moving back toward the heart. But there's a second thing that happens as well, and that's referred to as the respiratory pump. So as we look at the diaphragm, so say here's the abdominal pelvic cavity, below the diaphragm, and the thoracic cavity above. When we breathe in, I've got a cat here. Okay, cat's off the desk. When we breathe in, the abdominal pelvic cavity, let me try that again. The diaphragm flattens. Cat's back. Sorry guys, this cat makes me crazy. Stay. Okay, so when we breathe in, the diaphragm flattens. That puts pressurizes the abdominal pelvic cavity, and it actually makes a little bit of a vacuum isn't the right word, but a low pressure area in the thoracic cavity. So the heart's sitting here, and we've got the inferior vena cava running down to where it splits to form the common iliac veins. Okay, so when and I'll just draw the heart here too, and here's the inferior vena cava. Here's the split. So when the diaphragm flattens as we breathe in, because as it contracts, the diaphragm here is relaxed, it's longer. As it contracts, it flattens, becomes shorter. So when we do that, we compress or increase pressure here in the abdominal pelvic cavity, and that helps to force blood upward toward the heart because we're squeezing down on the inferior vena cava there in the abdominal pelvic cavity. And the vena cava in the thoracic cavity is going to become a little low pressure area, even lower than that 2 millimeters of mercury. And so that helps to draw blood from the abdominal region of the inferior vena cava up into the thoracic region. So we're drawing blood upward, we're compressing blood upward. So between those two effects, we actually increase the efficiency of the inferior vena cava in bringing the blood toward the heart. So now imagine someone who's exercising. Their diaphragm is going to be flattening even more frequently than a person just kind of sitting around, because they're going to be breathing more frequently, and they're going to be breathing more deeply. And so when we exercise, both muscular compression is going to be pushing the blood in the venous system from valved area to valved area, and the respiratory pump is going to be working even harder, making the heart function at maximal efficiency. So hopefully that makes sense now. Muscular compression and the respiratory pump both really help to get blood returning back to the heart again. Okay, so one last concept to think about, and that is called central venous pressure. That's the blood pressure that is found at the right atrium of the heart. So there, as the superior and inferior vena cava are returning blood back to the heart, it's the blood pressure that's right there in the vena cava and in the right atrium. And an increase in central venous pressure is going to make it harder for the blood to make it from along the venous pathways toward the heart, because we're going to be creating, if you can think of a back pressure, or forcing the blood to back up along the venous pathways. Let's say we're thinking about 16 millimeters mercury at the capillary network, and normally it's 2 millimeters mercury. But let's say we increased central venous pressure from 2 to 10. Now the difference is less. We only have 6 millimeters mercury difference. 6 millimeters of mercury difference between the capillary networks and the central venous pressure. So it's going to be harder for blood to get back to the heart. So it creates a little backup along those venous pathways. And when this happens, then back in the capillary network, it's going to be harder. So now we're going to increase this blood pressure here, and that's going to make it harder for the blood to make it out of the tissues and into the capillaries again. And so this backup of blood all the way back to the tissues will result in edema in the peripheral tissues. So an increase in central venous pressure reduces the efficiency of the heart in returning blood to the heart, and it reduces the ability of the capillaries to gather fluids from the tissues, resulting in edema in the tissues. Okay, one last thing then about venous blood flow, and that is that the venous system can act as a little bit of a storage place for blood, because the arteries have a lot of muscle, a lot of strength, a lot of compression going on in an artery. But the veins, they have a much thinner layer of tunica media, and so it can act as a little storage place or a reservoir for blood. When the body's at rest, stored blood is found in these relaxed, very dilated veins of the body. But if blood pressure becomes too low, the blood pressure centers of the medulla oblongata will recognize this and can send out a signal for constriction of the veins. And so as the veins constrict, the volume of the venous system becomes less, and so the blood that is there in reserve, if you can think of it that way, will be brought into circulation with a little bit more pressure, a little more vigor, and it will be pushed, but that blood will be pushed toward the heart, and as a result, central venous pressure will also increase. And so we can, there's issues if central venous pressure is too high, but central venous pressure being too low can be a problem too. So we can bring up central venous pressure by constricting those veins, and that will then push more blood toward the heart so that it can be circulated back through the body. All right, so there you've got it. Just about everything that I needed you to know from Chapter 15. So study well. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.